Hi, Gary Chillingworth here for Air Gunner Magazine, Shooting and Country TV. Welcome to Life at the Range. Well, today is it's quite a special day for me. Many moons ago, I used to shoot one of these, a Steyr Lg110. Absolutely amazing rifle. I've had Steyrs, I had an Lg100, I had an Lg110 before I was lured to the dark side and started shooting springers for air arms. But I must admit, I loved my Steyr. See, I'll unzip. I've even still got the shirt, although it doesn't quite fit anymore and my belly protrudes from the bottom of the shirt. So why are we shooting a Steyr today? And more specifically, this Steyr. Well, I'll be honest with you, what I would like to do over the coming months and years is have a look at all of the major rifles that we shoot in HFT, from the Daystate Mark III to the S400 to the Steyr to the FTP to the HFT 500. Go through all the guns that go out there and win, and Steyrs certainly do that. It is, if you look at the stats, the Steyr Lg110 is certainly one of the absolute greats. It has its flaws, which we will go into later, but there is no denying it is a truly amazing rifle. Now, where did I get this one from? Well, I have to say a huge thank you to two amazing people. First of all, Richard Woods. Richard Woods, as you all know, owns Malden District Airgun Club and flopover.co.uk, and Richard has been shooting an Anschutz for quite a few years now, but he's decided to give a Steyr a go again. I mean, he shot Steyr for many years and he shot brilliantly with it, and he's been specifically looking for a good 2014 model Steyr FT, which this is. This isn't the latest version of the Steyr Lg110. But Richard wanted a good gun, and be honest with you, finding an old good Steyr is not an easy thing to do. But he tracked down a gentleman by the name of John, who lives up in Boston in Lincolnshire, who's an amazing chap, and this man really looks after his kit. And as I was away at the Northern Shooting Show, and thank you so much for all of you who came down and visited us at the symposium area, and it was an amazing weekend shooting with, sorry, not shooting with Matt Manning, but chatting with Matt Manning, with Mick Garvey, with Dave Barham. Unfortunately, Terry couldn't make it because he was unwell, but we had a great weekend and it was amazing to meet quite a few of you as I wandered around the fair. Well, Richard called me up and he said, is there any chance as you're on your way back, if you could stop off and pick up this Lg110? And as Richard is currently away in the Ardennes, I said to him, do you mind if I take this on the range and take a few photographs and make a little video? And after sending me a few angry faces and me reminding him of certain photographs I have of him, he happily agreed. And letting somebody basically shoot your rifle that you've never shot before is a really kind thing to do. So thank you to Richard for letting me play with his new toy, and thank you very much for John for making me feel so welcome when I came to pick up the rifle. Enough waffle, let's go on with some shooting. What we're going to do is we're going to shoot at 40 yards. We've got a little bit of wind left to right. There's no point in testing these things at 20 yards, 25 yards. They're absolute tack drivers. So we're going to push out to 40. So we've got, with the anemometer, we've got around about 7 miles an hour left to right wind. We're going to shoot some prone, we're going to shoot up the peg, and then we're going to shoot some standing targets. So enough waffle from me. Thank you so much for joining us here at the range, and let's get on with some shooting. Well, here we are, we're at 40 yards, and I've got a very nice email from one of the viewers saying, look, Gary, I know you're used to shooting paper. Any chance we can make it a bit easier to see? And do you know what? I hadn't even thought about it. I've spent my life shooting paper, and I don't really use shoot and see targets, although we did make a video on how to make them. But now that we're sponsored by Crawley Shooting Surplus, we've got access to shoot and see targets. So we got some shoot and see targets out there at 40 yards. Be honest with you, they didn't come from Crawley. I already had them in the cupboard, but you can get them from Crawley surplus. We got a little bit of wind left to right. I've just zeroed the gun. It seems to be good, and let's see how we go. 40 yards, left to right wind, shooting a Steyr for the first time in a long time. Okay, left-hand target. Okay, right, we're going to aim at that dot that we've just put on the target. Well, I think that went through the same hole. I think the problem sometimes when you're shooting something like a shoot and see target is the actual physical area you're shooting at is too big. It's really odd. When I'm shooting a single hole, I find it much easier than shooting at a big target. That's why when you're looking at a target and you're shooting in competition, see if you can pick out a pellet mark on the paddle and focus on that. Aim small, miss small. That's the theory. But as we all know, I suck. Well, we're just making the hole bigger. Two more. Okay, that one went slightly right. As I said, we've got a left to right wind out here. Now, one thing you do have to be really careful with the Steyr is, as you can, I don't know if you can see, but it's got a very deep pistol grip. And the rule in HFT or UK HFT is you're not allowed to rest the pistol grip on the ground. You must be able to physically put your hand underneath it. So that's something you need to always be aware of. Still going for the same initial holes. And again, I think through the same hole. Tell you what, let's just see if I can prove a point. We're going to go for the middle target and see if we can stick one through the bullseye. Well, I'll be honest with you, that was me. Try once more. Do you know what, if you shot a good group, it's always a good idea just to walk away and never do it again. Okay, so fractionally high, but all good. Okay, so now let's do 3 shots, right hand target, up the peg. Let's see the balance of the rifle, because this is where things like the Steyr absolutely shine. Now, with my spring gun, if I come up the peg, it creates a different aim point for me because of different hold, and I hit high. So I'm actually quite interested to see where this is going to go. Okay, far right hand target. Okay, fractionally low, but still within the 25mm kill zone. The thing that I always used to love about the Steyr FT is this really blocky cheek piece at the back. Now you get some targets where you've got a nice scoop over, some that are dished out, especially a lot of the aftermarket stocks, but this has got a very, very hard edge. And when you see I'm putting my cheek on here, and because I've got a fairly fat face, my cheekbone is resting directly onto that hard surface, so I get a very consistent hold. Okay, happy with that. Also, again, I don't know if you can see it, this is actually slightly angled over. That's probably how John, the guy who owned this gun before, had it set up. And that's the beauty about target style rifles. I can adjust the depth of the hamster, the depth of the butt plate, the depth of the cheek riser. I can make the gun fit me. Now, did I load that? Yes, I did. Right, last shot. Again, 25 mils at 40 yards. Hardest shot in HFT. And again, I think that went in. So, the Steyr Lg110 2014 style rifle. What can you say? You can see by the accuracy, and I've literally just picked up the gun. It's got to go to Richard in just a few hours time, but they are just an amazing piece of kit. I mean, the trigger alone, when you go in, obviously you've got a first and a second stage. Right, we're going to go for the middle target again. Take up the first stage, and do you see how light it is? I didn't actually mean to fire them, but you can definitely feel the first stage. So we're always on a closed range, and if you notice, before I was doing that, I was already aiming at the backstop. So let me just check. Okay, we're in the backstop. So you got your first stage, right? So we're holding there on the first stage, and then with the literally the lightest of pressure, there it goes. Compared to shooting a Springer, and actually that's a good point. Compared to shooting a Springer, everything about it it's light, it's precise. Now, I'm not really that used to shooting PCPs, but I've jumped from my TX200, which, yeah, I know does have a very light trigger, and it is, you know, it's a very, very good gun. But I've jumped straight onto this rifle, and I've immediately started banging in decent groups. Now, I know what you're going to say, Gary, you suck, and I agree with this. And I do obviously have experience shooting a Steyr in the dim and distant past. But a good friend of mine, Tony Bingley, let's just say a year or so back, wasn't the best shooter. Not a bad shooter, but she certainly wasn't up there, you know, with the top lady shooters. She got herself a Steyr Lg110, and almost overnight she was banging in 53s and 54s, and I think she either won the Southern Hunter Series ladies or she comes second. I will check and I will let you know. And that isn't because this gun is any more accurate than an HFT 500 or a BSA Gold Star or an LG 300 from Walther or anything like that. It's because you can make it fit you, and gun fitment is so important. So something like the Lg110 is a perfect gun, but essentially for everyone. I mean, little J Mode is like, well, he's 4'10", 5 foot. He's short. Sorry, petite. No, petite. That's a terrible thing to say about a lad. He's small in stature but big in heart. We'll go with that. Shoots a Steyr and shoots it brilliantly. So you've got tiny little, you know, lads who can manipulate these rifles. But again, it might not be for everyone. But they do have their downsides, and we will go into that in a minute. But what I also want to do is I want to nip over into the other garden, and I want to shoot a couple of shots standing. So that should be fun. Okay, so we've got our target set out at 30 yards. It's a 25mm flop over Spitfire. I still feel wrong about shooting Spitfires. Richard really should make a Messerschmitt. And one thing I like about the Steyr is the fact that it's got a long chassis, because as you can see, I like to have a straight arm, and as such I'm not holding the barrel, my hand is right at the end of the chassis. Okay, so and there we go, solid kill. We'll just reset it. Usually a case that I get the kill and miss the reset. There we go, reset. Now, obviously in HFT, you can get a 35mm kill that goes out as far as 40 yards if it's a kneel or stander supported. But I've always found the 25mm at 30 are much harder. But this is lovely and balanced, because you can see I've got the palm shelf resting slightly on the arm, which is allowed because it's a supported shot. Oh, sounded a bit splitty, but it went down. And that's the great thing, because you can make the gun fit you. They are incredibly stable. Now, obviously this has got a bipod on the front. I'm not going to take it off because it's not my gun, but it won't really affect the way the gun shoots. Okay, we're going to do a reset. And we're going to do one final shot, and then we're going to have a go at the freestander and see how we go with that. Oh, that went high. Okay, so 2 out of 3. I'm not brilliant at supported standards, probably because I don't practice enough. But I don't know if you can see, we've got a little bit of wind right to left. The sun was in my eyes. I can hear a dog barking in the distance, and basically I suck. Amazing gun. So let's have a go at a freestander and let's totally humiliate myself. I promise you, if I knock this down first time, there will not be a second shot. So, hip forward, elbow in the ribs, hands slightly forward. Okay, so just to the left, but if that had been a 35mm kill as opposed to a 25, which is what you would get with a freestander, that would have gone down. So let's have another go. Do you like all my excuses for basically not killing anything? Okay, here we go. Did you see the paddle move? Ah, again, if it had been a 35mm kill, it would have got over. Ay, 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 ay. Right, last one. Come on, Gary. You used to shoot one of these well. No, not to be. Well, there you go. I mean, I don't know where that last one went, but the first two, if we'd have been shooting in competition, they would have gone over because they were literally on the edge. So, it shoots brilliantly on the range. It shoots well supported. It shoots very, very well unsupported if you've got someone who knows what they're doing. But let's go and have a little chat about the faults of the Lg110. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the camera down the other end so you haven't got this lot making a load of noise. And actually me just had a bit of noise there because had a curry last night and I'm feeling a little emotional. So let's go down to the other end of the garden for a bit of peace and quiet. Okay, so what are the downsides of the Steyr Lg110? We know they're super accurate. We know they're great over the chronograph. A decent one, 5-6 foot per second variance. I would love to actually test it, but my chrono is currently down and out for the count. So what is the problem with them? Well, the main issue that you will get with a Steyr is they are an indoor rifle. They are designed for 10-meter shooting, and at that they excel. They win many awards. They're brilliant. Will they work outdoors? 100%. They win so many trophies, and they're absolutely brilliant. But get them wet and you're in for a world of hurt. You will often see shooters out there with rain covers over the top and everything they can to keep the internals dry, because they've got open slots. I mean, these are ambidextrous. You can take the cocking lever from one side and put it on the other, but you've got open bits, and these go down into the firing body. So if you get a Steyr wet, certainly down from the top, you're going to have to strip it down. Now, is that a big whoop? No, not really. Steyr have made some absolutely brilliant videos, and I will link them in the comments below. Not in the comments, I'll link them in the description, and that will show you how to totally strip down a Steyr Lg110 and Lg100. They're essentially the same gun. But if you get it wet, you've got to take the firing body out. You often have got to take the hammer out. You've got to get in there with your Q-tips, dry everything out, and just sticking it in a warm cabinet or something like that will not be enough, because it will leave residue in the channel that the hammer goes up and down, and you'll start going to get inconsistencies over the chrono. It's not a big problem. You can strip one of these down in 10 or 15 minutes, but if you are the sort of person that really doesn't like getting your spanners out, this may not be the rifle for you, because they do need maintenance. The other thing is, I say, it's a regulated rifle. When these get hot, if you go out on an 80 or 90 degree day, they are known for creeping up in power. So you never really want to set them massively close to the limit. These rifles do have external and internal power adjusters, although the UK versions have got a transfer port that will not let you, or should not let you, go above 12 foot-pounds. So you should be okay to adjust. But if you're on a competition day and your gun is running at 798 feet per second in your nice cool garage with 844 pellets, so you're running at 11.95 foot-pounds, and it's been sitting in the baking hot sun all day long, you could be in for a world of hurt. So be aware and test your rifle in all different weather conditions. Now this brings us on to the other problem. As I said, Richard bought this from John, and John really looks after his kit. We know that this has been properly maintained. If you just buy a Steyr and you don't know the provenance of it, you do not know what the person has done with it before. Have they got it wet and just shoved it in a cabinet? So if you're going to go out and buy one, make sure you take a chronograph with you and test it over the chrono, because having an inconsistent chrono string, 20-30 foot per second variance, is probably a sign that the hammer maybe have a little bit of rust. Now, again, if you get a rusty hammer, not a big problem. A lot of, you can get parts for these from Harry Preston in the UK, or you can order them in from abroad. And repairing a Steyr is not massively difficult. If the regulator goes, it's 4 bolts. You just take the regulator off. You can send it away to someone to have it serviced, or you can buy a new regulator, I think for about £90. Well, that's what they were back in the day. I don't know what they are now. You want to check on that yourself. So everything is essentially plug and play if you are happy to do so. Oh, one other funny thing. Many moons ago, we had a guy, I can't remember who it was, but when he took all the gun apart, and to take it apart's relatively easy. There's one big bolt that goes through here through the pistol grip. That comes off, the whole back end comes off, a couple of bolts, it all slides apart. But when he had the pistol grip off, the rifle was running at 790 feet per second, absolutely lovely. When he put the pistol grip back on, it went down to 600. Now, under here is your main bolt. Right here is your main bolt. This goes into the firing body, everything locks up, absolutely lovely. But this is like made from some kind of MDF, I don't know what it's made from, but over the years, screwing it in and out compressed the material that's in there. And the bolt goes all the way up into the firing body. And what was happening is as he screwed it in, it was actually fouling the hammer spring. So if you've got a Steyr and all of a sudden you've put the pistol grip back on and it's only running at 600 feet per second, slacken off the bolt that holds the pistol grip on and test it again. It's quite a common fault that people have found over the years. It's easily fixed, stick in some washers, backs off the bolt, job's done, 2p fix. So absolutely brilliant. So that is the main fault with the Steyr. They need servicing, they need to be worked on by somebody who's competent and confident that they know what they're doing, and you've got to watch them when they get hot. But apart from that, they are a truly amazing rifle. Okay, so we've had to come inside because it's just started raining again. Right, so the Steyr Lg110. What's the makeup of it? Well, as you can see, it's got the FT stock and everything like that, which we've already discussed. Cocking the rifle, you've got a cocking lever which you pull back, and then you thumb the pellet directly into the barrel. We'll put a close-up photograph. You cock, push it forward, and you get that nice click so that you know that everything is forward and it's ready to go. We'll just fire this off. Now, one good little trick for those of you who have Steyrs, and you may not know this, as we said, it's an indoor rifle, and every now and then you get dust in here, and the cocking lever, you won't be able to push it forward. I've had it in competition. If that ever happens to you, don't worry. Even if you can't push it forward, sorry, can't pull it back, just push on the bolt at the front, and then it's much easier to manipulate. It's a good little trick, something that's worth knowing. To fill the gun up, now this one is fitted with a quick fill, and you just pull the plug out and you put it in like you do with most guns. But a lot of Steyrs, especially the early ones, this whole cylinder unscrews and you just take it out. And what a lot of shooters do is they have multiple cylinders. And this is a really great idea. I mean, my friend Alex Larkin, that's what he does. He has a cylinder when he goes away to shoot. He goes on the plinking range, he shoots, he then unscrews the cylinder, screws a fully fresh cylinder back in the rifle, and is good to go. Doesn't need to worry about shots. I can't remember exactly, but I remember around about 80 or 90 shots per fill without a problem. It is a regulated rifle. You can have external or internal power adjusters. They don't come with a twin cone stripper, but they're certainly well worth having. You can adjust them, but don't. Everyone I know has had problems with Steyrs, have been messing around with their stripper. They just work. Put them on. They not only look lovely, but they work. You can also fit silencers, and that, you know, that's great. This is the FT version, which means essentially it's got a stabilizer in it. You can get the Hunter one, which has got the wooden stock at the back. That's an unstabilized version. Got a rail on the front, upside down, which obviously you can fit things like bipods on or flashlights if you want to. And it's got your standard dovetail on top for your scope. But that's about it. Second hand, anywhere 1,500 to 2,000. Brand new, I think they're over 3 now. So not a cheap rifle, but it will certainly, you know, stand you in good stead. The other thing is barrels. The standard Steyr barrel, it's a brilliant barrel. If you go for an Lg100, there are some out there with a thing called a barley twist. And the barley twist barrels are great. You also get a lot of the FT shooters like to take the barrel off of a BSA Scorpion, the old Scorpions, the cold hammer forged barrels, and have them turned down and used on Steyrs because they were great barrels. But barrel is a barrel. Try it. If you don't like it, there are plenty out there, and you can always have one machined up to play with. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Steyr Lg110. You pays your money, you takes your choice. If you want to buy a Steyr, I would strongly recommend it. They are absolutely superb. From the double cone stripper to the stabilizer to the regulator, it's designed to do one thing. It's designed to throw lead downrange accurately, repeatedly. I don't know. Look, it's 6:30 in the morning. I've just finished the night shift and I want to go to bed, but I wanted to get this video done because it's been raining for 3 days and I didn't want to get the gun wet, and it's got to go back today. But yeah, that's about it. The Steyr Lg110. Don't be scared of like the older guns, the LG100s. But before you buy an older gun, check out the provenance, see who's had it before. And if you're not completely confident in stripping one down, see if you've got somebody in your local club who knows Steyrs and is happy to help you. Because guidance on how to deal with one of these properly, it will stand you in stead for the rest of your shooting life. And be able to get home with a wet gun and just strip it down in 5 or 10 minutes, dry it all off, put it back together, you're just going to have a happy life. As ever, thank you for joining us at the range. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Please remember, Air Gunner and Air Gunner World have got subscriptions where you get £2 million worth of cover. So please check them out. We'll put a link in the description below. And also, actually, one final thing before I go, there's some really exciting news coming up. As you know, or some of you may know, I've been writing for Air Gunner magazine for the last 15 years. And Air Gunner and Air Gun World have decided to amalgamate and become one huge magazine, which is going to be out monthly. I'll still be writing for them and I'll still be making these low quality videos here on the range, but it's an exciting time. So instead of going down to the WH Smiths and going, oh, Air Gunner or Air Gun World this month, you're going to have one choice with all your favourite writers in one big bumper magazine every month. And for some reason, they still want me to write for them. God help them. Ta-da.